How many of y'all work in a library? Don't laugh. How many of you are working in a classroom right now? I am. I'm not in a library. No, they wouldn't let me in there. Yeah, I'm actually in a, and you know what? I actually am making more impact right now than I ever have, because there's an LMT in there, the person who's what's the official name for somebody who takes care of the library? No, besides, I mean, the leads the library. I mean, you know what I'm talking about. The tech. Are they important or not that important? That's right. I'm inciting a riot for a reason. They are absolutely necessary, because without them, how in the world can we do our work? You cannot have one without the other to make it work. So what ended up happening is, this is not part of the presentation, and it's just being recorded. Great, thanks a lot, Marie. So I guess I'm going to be talking on the record the whole time. But what I'd like to say is that I became the best friend of that person in the library. Because you know what? None of the teachers understood what she does. And I don't have the authority to say, you will do what I say. But you know what? There's other modes of leadership than I have. I'm the boss. Did you know that? There's other forms of leadership. How many of you suffered from the you will do it because I said so leadership? Who's saying that? How blessed are you by that kind of leadership? See, that's not really, you know what you get out of that? You get compliance. Do you know compliance isn't the same thing as excellence? Anyway, it's been so wonderful, and I'm in a K-8 school, and you know what I've been able to do is I've been actually implementing the model school library standards for a K-8 school. And now, as of this year, instead of some of the classes coming through and seeing me, it's required they come and see me. Because what the work that the standards are doing in terms of student achievement, they're seeing an absolute direct impact on the fact that they've come through and benefited from accessing, evaluating, integrating, using the AEIOUs. You know, all they've got in education today is consonants: reading, writing, arithmetic. We're the ones who bring the vowels to the table, baby. May I have all the vowels, please? Let's go over them. A, E, I. Oh, I don't know. Oh, originate. I made that up. Are kids becoming originators of information? Originate, and what's the last one? They need vowels like they never needed them before. So, anyway, something you do if you want to. Let me get to this now. Da, 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 da. There it is. Cue digital. Yeah, I'll turn this on. Well, that's nice. The wireless login? No, I have my own. All right, I think I'm good. All right, does this look somewhat connected to what the title of my session is? Somewhat. And what does it say on your program? Well, then, yes. Can you sense the growing movement inside me? Do you have your inner movement going? Get in touch with your inner movement, because it's there. All right, this entire presentation is available to you at this teeny URL. So if you'd like to just simply jot that down, you can grab this. I have declared it public domain. Okay, and you can take it and use it just as long as it's for the good of the cause. Fair enough? All right. There you go. Coming down. Information resiliency through digital literacy. We've heard a lot about information literacy, and our kids desperately need it. There's no question about it. Digital literacy is now being defined in other words now. The other words that digital literacy is being defined as in California speak now is called digital literacy. When you hear the word digital literacy, it is information literacy. It's exactly what it is. It's identical. I was on a panel at Q where they were one of the people who were a part of the digital literacy movement in the state of California that made it all the way to the governor. I said, you know what? It's funny. Your definition sounds so much like exactly like the verbiage in our standards. I said, you know, was there any teacher librarians on the original group that you well, she says, well, Glenn, actually the the work that was done for digital literacy in the state of California was done in another state, some other states back east, and half of the group were teacher librarians. So they didn't know, our state didn't know that. Well, I'm just saying that, yes, and I know that. Yes, thank you for that. Thank you. God. Right. So the point is that with digital literacy, I think information literacy, we need to start using the word digital literacy. Because digital literacy stands for three things. And please get this in there. It's just absolutely great for you to use because, like rhetoric, librarians have used logic for a long, long time, and it has not served us well. I'm just telling you. You guys have had logic on your side since Methuselah was doing the library, whatever. God bless Methuselah, whoever that is. But the point, I'm evidently an old person. But the thing is that logic hasn't done it for us. And in rhetoric, there's three areas of rhetoric. Does anybody know what those three are?
Head, heart, and
I love the way you talk, honey. That's perfect. Yeah, exactly. The 50 words are it's logos, which you guys have been using. But there's ethos and pathos. And have you seen enough pathology going on out there? So the bottom line is that when you're making an argument for something, it's not enough to use the logic. The logic's on our side. My God, we got an intervention that overcomes the poverty barrier. You would think everybody bowing down and, praising God on that deal, but you know what? It doesn't even move anybody. Have you noticed? You know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about Ackerman's work. Have I lost anybody? Okay, you all look tired. Okay, fine. So,
but you haven't lost us, and yes, we know his work.
Thank you very much. I just needed a little reassurance. I got insecurity issues. So now, the second thing is emotional. The pathology. We haven't tapped into that, and do you realize we've got an entire reservoir of oil we haven't even drilled into? And you know what the passion is? You know what the pathology is? We're not making this junk up. It's real. Student safety. Student safety. Do you realize the law? I have another presentation called Cyber Law and Order, Educational Intent. And I explain the looming lawsuit that's going to come from the neglect of your expertise, our standards, and legislation that says you should have done all this. It's coming. It will come. So that's a different story for a different time. But the point being is that this is a student safety issue. The other thing is the idea of the ethics of it. The ethics. My God, the ethics. You know what most parents are most concerned about is their kid being abducted online. They're most concerned about that kind of stuff. It's funny. You should see what they're least concerned about. It'll flip your mind. By the way, do you realize kids being abducted from being online is like negligible in terms of percent?
It's like lightning.
It's like, you know what? Yes, it's like lightning. It's exactly right. So, anyway, let's move on with this here. And that's for those of you who have short attention spans, that's pretty much my whole presentation, so you can split. I'm just going to keep repeating that over and over again ad nauseum.
What were they least concerned about?
Logos, ethos, and pathos is logic, ethics, and
Emotion. Like my sister said.
Oh.
Heart. Right here. Peace out, right?
Which was heart? Emotion.
Right.
Right, but what were they least concerned about? They were most concerned
Logos.
about
They're not interested in facts.
facts.
They're not interested in facts.
Why?
If facts were what drove everything, we would be mandated in every single school. My God, they get so excited about an intervention that moves the percent by 6%. They get excited about a 6% gain, and we come in with a 40% gain. I'm sorry. Okay, so obviously logos isn't on the table. All right.
they're least concerned about plagiarism.
Now see, don't take my presentation.
I'm sorry.
I mean, honest to God, I'm here. Show a little respect, really. All right. This is how we safeguard kids today. It's called a firewall. Isn't that neat? How many have been really frustrated by trying to actually learn? How many of you are trying to get porn and you were blocked? I mean, really. I mean, isn't it frustrating? You're trying to get some porn and you get blocked. No, of course you're not trying to get porn. I'm trying to go on something even more vulgar than that. I'm trying to go on the CSLA wiki.
Yes.
I mean, I didn't realize how much porn was on the CSLA wiki. My God, because I mean, you can't go on that thing, and it's really frustrating to have to be on a school site and try to go. I'm trying to further myself in my education as an educator, and I'm blocked. Why? Because we regulated safety and discernment to a non-thinking box. Now I thought of this today during one presentation. Realize if you think about it, librarians should be just absolutely lit on this. And I'll tell you why. If they tried to censor your books, how would you feel? Tell me the truth. How would you feel? We're going to censor that. I'm sorry, Twilight, just too sexy. Too sexy for your middle school students. All right, fine. You know what? I hate Twilight. My wife loves that thing now, and now I have to compete with this Cullen family. I hate it. Hate it. Hurt my marriage. I agree, it should be banned. Anyway, but how many of you would be absolutely freaked out if they tried to censor your books? But when they go online, what the heck's the difference? There's a level of censorship taking place right in front of you, and it's not getting the same emotional response as the books are. Well, Glenn, we got to protect the kids. We got to protect the kids. I agree, we got to protect the kids. I got a great idea on how to protect the kids. How about we wire that? How about that for a firewall? Is this not a bad firewall? Okay, so I'm losing something. Glenn, I'm just listening to you scream at us. Fine, I'll get you before this thing's over with, if that's how you're thinking. They may be digital natives, but they are what? They are not digitally literate. In fact, all of our students, for the most part, not digitally literate. Why? What matters at your school site more than anything in the world? What matters more than anything in the world?
Control.
Well, yeah, that's true ultimately. But what is, from an educational standpoint, what are they looking for? Test scores and the latest what? And avoid be a PI school at all costs. Am I right? And you bring up anything that has nothing to do with what's not being tested, and if it's not being tested, then it's not valued. Am I telling the truth? Somebody tell me if I'm telling the truth. That's the truth. All right, so do you realize that's the context we're living in? And it's incumbent upon us as teacher librarians and those that care about libraries and those that support them, it's incumbent upon us that we have a bigger thing to protect than our jobs. We have something that's so much bigger in front of us that it affects an entire democracy. In my view, this is the biggest homeland security issue of all time. A society that cannot think for itself, that cannot go after information and be discerning, is undermining the fabric of our society. Frankly, this is a hell of a lot bigger than our jobs. Now, they may not be digitally literate. That's my daughter. And she's cute.
She looks like her dad.
Oh, stop that. Yeah, you know what? She got all her good looks from me. It's true. Because her mom still has hers. Anyway, that's my daughter. I'm going to tell you about her in a moment. But I'm going to tell you about a mobile device that's being widely used in all schools. I'm going to tell you about this mobile device that all schools are using. And it is one heck of a dangerous mobile device. And I think it's very dangerous. You know, we haven't heard a lot of talk about it, but it's these damn things. This mobile device, we put this mobile device in the hands of kindergarten students. Now, I want you to help me now. How many of you have been hurt by one of these mobile devices? Who's been hurt? Come on, it's okay. This is your moment. This is your moment. We've never talked about it. I want to get it out. I want to get this motion out. You know, I've been hurt by one of these. You know, I used to walk down the hall for some odd reason with my pencil and doing the eraser like this. I don't know why I did it. I have no idea, but I just did it. It was a common practice. I guess I needed to know. It made me feel more alive to feel something bouncing off my leg. And one day, when I was walking down the hall, I had the pencil reversed. And I went like this, and it was an EpiPen experience. Jammed that thing right in my leg. I still have the tattoo on my leg from when that thing went into my leg. Now, can kids get hurt with these things? Yeah. Heck yeah, they're little mini spears, aren't they?
I had one.
I mean, you're just supposed to expel a kid for bringing a toy gun to school from a G.I. Joe thing, but we're fine with this stuff? The critical thinking is completely broken down, people. Okay, we really start looking under the hood of critical thinking. It's ugly under there. But the thing is that when was the last time you heard anybody talk about pencil bullying? Okay, exactly. Wow. You know, all you went to processing when I asked that. It was actually a joke. What do you think? I'm accessing. No, you haven't.
Pencil fighting?
Yeah, well, maybe a pencil fight. Yeah, something like that. Pencils in the ceiling. But the thing is, when the kids come into school, we do something with these pencils. We teach them how, Johnny, this is, or Susie, whatever, pick your name of choice. This is how we use them for educational purpose. Is this not what we do?
Yes.
And education has absolutely overcome the whole pencil bullying epidemic. Have you heard of pencil bullying? No, you haven't. Has it made national headlines? No, it hasn't. Is it a mobile device? Yes, it is. Is it freaking dangerous? Yes, it is.
Oh, not your eye.
Right. So, now we use these things, and because the thing is we need to teach these kids how to integrate. So here we go. Now this is my daughter, again, and she is 4 years old in this picture. She's 4 years old. And my wife, about a year and a half ago, around December time, whatever that was, a year from last December, you figure it out. We just had December, a year before that. My wife was in the hospital for a full month, all of December. Now there's have you heard of some holidays in December? Yeah. So my wife was in the hospital, and I'm really good at rallying my kids up, but I am not good at getting them to bed. So there's no way I was going to get my 4-year-old to go to sleep. There's just no way, So I was in trouble, and I told my wife, I said, look, I can't get Abby to go to sleep. And I tell you what, we Skyped every night. And that's the only way my daughter was able to go to sleep. Now that's a mobile device in the hands of a 4-year-old. You see, it's not just that we are not equipping our kids. It's not just that we are not making them connect with the educational purpose that they desperately need. It's not just that we're keeping them safe. It's also that we're robbing them of incredible triumphs because of a few tragedies. Does that make some sense? All right. So, one of our high schools down in Orange County, a private school, don't like these people. Yeah, I feel the same way. Modern day, Catholic high school. I'm just jealous because all their students and faculty got iPads. All the iPads, all of them, everybody. Man, I'll tell you, it's just bad. By the way, not only the superintendents of the counties, but also our new superintendent of public instruction for the state of California, Tom Torkson. Heard of this guy? He made a public statement at Q that said, look, we are getting away from having kids with textbooks, and they're going to have these mobile devices. That's how we're going to deliver them. It's just the way it's going to go. But yet again, what's happening is people are focusing on the technology. It's not, I'm going to tell you right now, the technology, the kids are already coming in technologically literate. So this idea of keep talking about technology, this is going to be a dinosaur very soon. The whole idea of talking about technology is a dinosaur. It's never been about the technology. When the technology becomes ubiquitous, when it becomes commonplace, when it becomes that your 4-year-old knows how to use everything, and they're coming in, they're the future teachers of the future, right? It's not about that. It's going to be about, and what it's always been about, is about preparing kids to interact with a tsunami of information. Guess what? In the old days, what was it back in ancient times? Alexandria Library, I heard something about it. Something bad happened. I think it burned down. Right? Have you heard about that? Okay. But the librarians were still standing. Now it's the opposite. The libraries are still standing, but the librarians have burned down. And we got to rebuild the librarians. It's not the libraries, it's the librarians. By the way, how we teach this in school, this is how we teach it. I used to go around finding pools with empty of water. Here's how we teach this in schools. We tell the kids about, we're supposed to teach them about social networking and chat rooms and that kind of thing, but we don't let them have access. So this is like teaching kids how to swim without water. The water's just too darn dangerous. We're using technology they don't use. Is that correct? So how in the world are we going to teach them to be responsible in its use? I had a superintendent from a school district, was down here in San Diego for the AXA conference, and he said to me, he says, Glenn, I confiscate 40 phones a month from my high schools. Thanks a lot for letting kids bring cell phones to school. Orange County passed that law so the kids could have, so he's blaming me for it. And I said, oh, so you got all these kids misusing mobile technologies in high school? And he said, yeah. And thanks a lot. He was being, tongue-in-cheek kind of thing. And I said back to him, I said, let me ask you, sir, how much time have you spent teaching your kindergartners or 8th graders how to use mobile technologies in a way that connects to education? How much time have you spent preparing them for that? How much time have you spent teaching them? You know what he said? Not 1 minute. And you'd have the audacity to complain to me about the misbehavior of them in high school? Can you understand that? Yeah. You're trying to teach them well in water. Look at society's position on this. We can't afford that. Well, look at where we are now from 2010, Annette, they speak up from Project Tomorrow. 62% of parents, if given the opportunity, the school said, we want you to buy a mobile device for your kid to bring to school for an educational purpose. Look how many parents are saying, I would do that. 62%. Are our parents wanting this? Do they need you? Let me help you with the answer. Yes! Just in case you were wondering. Okay. Just to be clear. So now, what our kids desperately need is digital and information literacy education, along with connecting it to the character piece. Those of you who think that we're disconnected from the character education piece, you are wrong. There is no way for us to teach wisdom to kids without connecting it to character. The difference between knowledge, who's ever heard knowledge is power? If you've been saying that, please stop. Because the bottom line is that Bernie Madoff proved that knowledge is power. But that boy did not have any wisdom. You know why? Because he didn't care at all about anybody. And we're living in an environment where we're connected. And you know what? If you cared about somebody, you would not rip off their stuff and say it was yours. Isn't that ethical? So, my point is that we've got to connect these two. Do the parents care about this? Yes, they do. Especially when their child's bullied in a context. And the thing is, gosh, there's a whole lawsuit just waiting to happen on that deal. In this one, our kids need to build a digital reputation. How many of you know about credit cards? I got my first credit card, I maxed it out. I didn't realize the concept I had to pay for it. So then when I had to pay for it, it took me forever to pay the darn thing off. And when I paid it off, I tore it up. Now, as I was paying it off, my credit score started to go up. Craziest thing. And then, when I paid it off and I tore it up, guess what happened to my credit score? That's right, nobody told me about that. And the reason why is, well, if you're not using it, you lose your score. That's exactly what's going to happen to our kids if they don't have a digital presence. We're talking about teaching them not to put their drinking pictures online or not to put themselves in a compromising view. You realize preventing violence is not a good high marker? Hey, how was your day at school, honey? I didn't get hit in the hammer today. What? That's not a high mark. The high mark is what are you doing that's making a difference. That's what leads keep people away from the bullying piece. So when they come home and say, look, are you putting a presence out there that when people Google you or they look you up, they're finding somebody who's wows them, somebody who's putting their passion online, somebody who's putting their life out there. So they say, look what I did. If you're going to hire somebody and you Google me and the other me, and you Googled me and found nothing, but you Googled the other me and you found all these neat things that the other me was doing, who would you hire? Why are we not preparing our kids for this? So, this is part of the deal. Did you know there's laws that say, this is what lit me on this. When I was in Dr. Farmer's class 5 years ago, who was in that class with me? I went nuts when I saw this because I was the anti-teacher librarian. I didn't know what a teacher librarian was. I thought teacher librarians were, I didn't know what you were. I accidentally became a teacher librarian because I thought it was a technology job. And then I found out I had to go back and get another master's degree. It really ticked me off. But I got into class and I listened to Farmer speak on the first class and I was listening to her talk. She was talking about AB 307. And AB 307 is a state law that says you will teach teachers and minors ethical literacy. Now that's me putting that all together that says the following. Plagiarism, copyright, name all the stuff you do. Come on, what else?
Well, I try not to violate those.
That's not what I mean. But the idea is that we're supposed to teach this to look at what the state statute says, minors and teachers. So they're both teachers and kids. Now minors includes all grade levels. That comes as a shock to many district leaders. And digital citizenship, which means the whole idea of, being, on how, I looked at this and I thought, my God, that's a job description for teacher librarians. But no one had ever made the connection. Then S1492 came out of the Bush administration. Now look at the title of S1492. If you don't see the poetry there, I don't know what's going to hit you. And it's a federal statute that says, look, minors only, so that means all minors will be taught, now watch this, social networking, chat rooms, and cyberbullying. I'm sure they didn't mean teach them how to cyberbully. And yet, this falls under the tech plan for a school district, and what typically happens is it gets implemented only if you do it in a couple of places, then it's good enough for the tech plan. Lawyers say there's no teeth to this, because it only affects the tech plan. All it takes is one tragedy. Please hear this. All it takes is one tragedy and a grieving family to say the following. There was this statute. There was this statute. You passed model school library standards, and you got rid of your teacher librarian. What jury's not going to come back with a major win for the family? That's negligent. That's my New Jersey side coming out right there. So we see the issue of education coming up. Exactly. I mean, there's on so many levels. And is this helpful for you to hear this?
Yes. Well, actually it would be helpful if other people heard it, not just us.
Now, I've heard the preaching to the choir complaint before, and I want to address that head on. Your voice is not loud enough, and it's not passionate enough. So my point is that we need to rally together and stop complaining that somebody else isn't talking. By the way, I'm going to show you a whole little picture of a whole party of people who love you. I put the party together. I want you to see the party. All these people love you, and you know what? You go back to them and kindle the fire.
I'm sorry, what did
Yeah.
she say? I couldn't hear what she said.
She says I'm preaching to the choir.
Paraphrasing.
Yeah, I'm paraphrasing.
But
I'm
you're
preaching.
very entertaining.
Thank you. And that's a redeeming quality. Now, this went into effect January 1st. Did you guys know about this law? Okay, that's another thing, talking about the choir. The choir should know this.
Yeah.
Because you're the experts, and you should know this. Your profession requires you should know this. This should be on top of your agenda to know. There was a law passed in the state of California that said if a child, or anybody for that matter, poses as somebody else on a Facebook page or in an email and does any sort of derogatory thing towards that person, that it is a misdemeanor punishable by, watch this, a year in jail and a $1,000 fine, not or. Now, did you know this law exists? Do you realize the laws are coming so fast and furious that who's going to keep up with them? Part of our job is to what? Now, how am I doing now? Okay, so let's move on. When we talk about these types of issues, thinking's required. Look at the kind of things that fall into being digitally literate. Free speech. Do you know that some schools take free speech away and think it's a good policy? Have you ever heard of Tinker? They're tinking with Tinker. Who knows what Tinker is? Remember so those of you, I don't remember this, I was too young. But Vietnam, and some kid brought the, get out of the war thing, and the school said you can't bring it. And it went all the way to Supreme Court. Guess what? The kid won. That's the Tinker law. Don't tinker with Tinker. Okay, so we got free speech, privacy, safety, policy and law, ethics, security, copyright, plagiarism, damages. That's all our territory. And what teacher, what professional at your school site is paying attention to any of this? Who's the most equipped to deal with this? Well, I would agree wholeheartedly. I went back to this. There's that. Now, let's go to the digital literacy piece. This link, by the way, if you download it, all the little thingies are linked to the site from where these things come. Does that make sense? So when you want to go do your research and go on, just click on these links. It takes you directly to the. You have to have it in presentation mode for it to work, I think, unless you're savvy and you know how to say follow the link. Anyway, this was what I was talking about in the session. The digital literacy definition. This is the official. Now, hang on to your hat. This is the official California definition for digital literacy. Take a look. Take a read. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? The state of California says that, guess how many citizens need to know this? According to the state of California. All citizens. You know who's representing us only? Public libraries are representing us. I mean, they're the only representation at the table because they hit the public. Do you realize a good chunk of the people that we need to help are the kids in K-12 education? And guess what? The people in public libraries, and I love people in public libraries, but you need to understand, they do not understand this odd bird called K-12 education. Am I right? They just don't get it. Yes?
I work at a joint use library, and so we have a public with us, every day, one in my library. And it is interesting because, we're going through the stuff, the librarian is like, huh? And she has said, when they cut our job, she's like, well, I hope these people won't expect me to do this. I mean, she's like, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, now I don't know if you saw her. She said it like this: I hope you didn't expect me to sign up for this. And that's exactly accurate, by the way. God bless them, but you know what? Honestly, that's not the gig, right? It takes a little bit to be a teacher. Do you know that? It really does. Now watch this. It's magic. Our state has to, by the way, Governor Brown has said the definition holds and we need to move forward with it. So our new governor wants to see this move forward. Now watch this. Here comes our standards. I feel like I'm at an eye clinic. 1, 2. 1, 2. Which seems better to you? 1 or 2? Yeah! Heck yeah! No, sorry. Okay. Sorry. Can I buy a vowel, please? I came up with this so I can remember what the heck the thing is. I put originate in there because I think it holds water. Remember the vowels. A, E, I, O, U. Okay? Originate is a big one. And it all kind of fills in there. So if you want to explain it to people in a fast way. And there it is again. What'd I say? I want all the vowels, please. All right, now, the timeline. The state wants to understand now, how does that look in kindergarten? How does that look in first grade? How does that look in third grade? How does it look in sixth grade? All the way down the line. They're in the process of making this right now. I'm happy to say the model school library standards are going to be this framework. We're going to bridge it. It's the disconnect that's killing us. This is the problem. Librarians are smart. That's our biggest problem. Because you think that these people should make that connection. They don't. Like, for example, their physical world, don't talk like that face to face. But what do we have to tell them? Don't talk like that digitally. We have to make that connection. Just like in a state, we have to make that connection for our administrator. We have to make that connection with the PTA. Somebody said, my principal is not the least bit interested in this. They're under PI. They're not going to do anything with this. And I said, fine, you can go to your parent group and start saying, look, we need to educate our kids on digital citizenship and safety because they haven't had it. You start getting your parent groups together and you become the champion of that, that's money. That's money. I'll just leave it at that. That's money. So there's our standards. We'll just jump through that. These are the people on our standards I went to. And they all came, all of these groups came and spoke before the State Board of Education saying, our kids desperately need the standards we just passed. Look at the people that are with you. Look at the people that are with us. State PTA, I got to tell you, PTA raises more money for libraries and we have not been appreciative enough. Sorry, we just haven't. We need to change that. We need to be more appreciative of what they've done. But when they sent their advocate every single time to the State Board to pass our standards. Office of Privacy Protection. We're the lead organization for them to K-12 education, CSLA. University of California, I'll talk about that in a minute. This is the largest law firm to districts in the state of California. Largest law firm to education in the state of California. Common Sense Media was there for us. The WebWise Kids, we were there for us. That was great. That was kind of novel. We did get a nice letter from these guys. Now, I want you to see this. This is a quote from the Library Association of the University of California, an official resolution that they sent to the State Board of Education of California. And this is just one of the many things they said, but look what they said. Whereas students are overwhelmed with information of all sorts and need guidance in learning how to become information literate so they can identify, locate, evaluate, and use information effectively and ethically. The resolution said that you're sending us kids that are not prepared. If you want that resolution, you can find it on the CSLA website. It's official and it's marvelously written. We're basically saying your kids aren't ready for college. And I'll tell you this, the kids that get this kind of education, opposed to the kids that don't get this education, you want strategy? Watch this. Just have a few kids not get into the UC system because some other high school or some other school district gave them this education. Imagine how fast that fire get lit under the parents. Can I get an amen on that deal? Then it's time for us to preach that sermon. You see what I'm saying? So, this is the Brokers of Expertise site. I would love to show you how to do it, but I think I'm probably failing in my time. When's my time over? Is it now?
No, you have 10 more minutes.
Bless God. Okay, so this site, I'm going to do a webinar on how to use this thing. Okay, I'll do a webinar. It'll be, of course, anything I do will be free. So we'll just do it online. It'll be free. I'll show you how to do it, but here's the deal. They put our standards in here because I shared with them, if you're going to have all these kids and all these teachers online, and you're creating a digital library, if you're creating a digital library for teachers, now you can follow with me. What might this site need?
A digital librarian?
Yeah, maybe even one in the flesh. I'll take it either way, honey. You know, okay. So
a librarian that does digital.
she goes both ways. You see, that's fabulous. That's what we need today. All right, we cut both ways. In fact, that'd make a great bumper sticker. Librarians, we cut both ways. All right. So this is something that's that. And by the way, it's so wonderful because the site, we actually now getting state recognition for this, and we're the salvation for them, in the sense that all the people that were supposed to do the work, when they ran out of money, they stopped doing it. You guys do things to your own hurt often because it's the right thing to do. Please don't lose that spirit. It may be our salvation. Look at this stuff. This is what parents are saying. Their number one concern is what? Look at their least concern. Least concern. Guess which one's happening the most with kids? Guess which one's getting them arrested most? Guess which one's ruining their careers the most? What are they concerned about? Lightning striking my face. What am I not concerned about? Basic road rules. You see, the problem is that look at the priority structure. We've got an education issue to give the parents to say, look, the priorities are upside down. And you can show them this data. It came right from Net Day Speak Up. This is what they're concerned about. Look at this. When parents were, when people were asked what are the best way to learn internet safety, watch this. One of the answers was parents. Okay, what's the best way to learn internet safety? One of the answers was parents. Now, parents, 81% of parents chose parents. 56% of third graders to fifth graders said parents. They went to negative numbers when you got to college.
Yeah. They don't figure their
Now, if they're not going to listen to the parents, who might they listen to? Oh, I'm so glad you came up with that answer. That's fabulous. A teacher librarian. Remember, not just teachers. If you need math teachers, you need somebody who's trained to teach math. If you need social studies teachers, you need somebody who's trained to teach social studies. All right, now, I'm now going to show you a quick run-through of easy implementation resources to make you the lead, not only for your district, your school site, but for your whole district. How would you like that? And you know, here's your number one complaint. Our teachers cannot stand one more bit of stuff on their plate. They're right. We can't ask them to do one more thing. They're right. We can't probably ask you to do one more thing. But all of these are free, and the kids will they will do it. This is a fabulous little thing called Woogie World. The kid goes online. This gets you to log in so you can play with it yourself. But I love this modality. It's perfect for kindergartners, first graders, and second graders. Absolutely perfect. And third graders. I mean, this is where we need to be. And it's so easy because what happens is it's a game, and the game reporting goes directly to the school, to the teacher, and shows where there's, you know, it just automatically gives you a report on how they're doing. So guess what you need to do? Nothing. Isn't that awesome? I mean, you do have to sign them up. I mean, that's, you know, but other than that, after that, it's like, hey, here you go. These kids aren't safe. You could actually sign up the whole school and do it by class, have the teachers not do a thing, and you can alert the teachers, you got 4 kids in your class that might be at risk. Wow. Proactive? Is that a drink? Okay, so there's that. It's fabulous. The way it works is the kid, the Woogie comes out, and the child has to teach the Woogie how to behave, because the Woogie always gets it wrong. So the child becomes the teacher. This is a bullying academy. It's free. It's perfect for 4th graders through 8th graders. It teaches kids not how to bully. It teaches kids the ins and outs of not being a bully. You don't need to use this unless you're beginning to see a bullying problem at your school. And your administrators probably completely lost as to what to do. This might be a real gift for them. This is the FBI SOS. I think every single teacher librarian ought to be implementing this. This is a no-brainer. I mean, my school got the 2 national awards this year already, one for 3rd grade and one for 7th grade, and they give a national winner every month. You know what kind of clout you get when you have a national award coming to your school and they send an FBI agent from Washington, D.C. to give you that award? I'm going to tell you what, I had board members, you know, and it's like, well, Glenn, you seem to know what you're doing. I go, yeah, because I'm a teacher librarian. Okay, so, again, that's part of teaching the people who aren't part of the choir. It's free. And it's for 3rd through 8th grade. There's a 3rd grade component of 4th grade, so it's not, you know, you choose the grade level and you implement. And it's free, and it's wonderful. WebWise Kids has got phenomenal videos you can use. It's not a free program, but the videos are free. If you want to implement it in your school, who's in Orange County? Anybody here in Orange County? Did you know Orange County won a grant to get this implemented in every middle school in Orange County for free, and there's sub-pay and training fees given to this teacher for coming out of the classroom? This was an earmark that passed. And we see very little anemic implementation of this program, and it's free. So you should need to alert them. Google Ed Royce and Loretta Sanchez. They won the grant. It was a $500,000 grant, so every single middle school could have this for free, and training for their teachers with sub-pay. And it's hardly being utilized. This is fabulous for middle school and high school. If you haven't seen this, this is actually created by ASL and SD. It teaches kids the copyright, how they can create their own music and decide if they want it to be public domain or if they want to charge for it or for it to be copywritten. It's absolutely fabulous because, you know, you've seen GarageBand, how you can put tracks in there and it plays. This has that online. And the kid can create their own music, even put their voice on, and then publish it to this site for kids across the country to see, and they can decide if they want it to be public domain, used it for free, Creative Commons, or copywritten. Like you have to, some kids are even charging for it, and some kids are actually getting some money out of it. What better way to learn copyright? Okay, that's free. Also, this lessons here. The Kind campaign. Who's ever seen this? This, if you got high school or junior high girls that are absolutely just like you don't know what to do, this is absolutely a powerful site for both girls and guys because it's a set of videos that shows people across this country who've been victims of bullying. And it absolutely resonates with kids. Just check out the videos and see what you think. You play it for one class, you'll be a hero. These guys have actually their lessons for K through 12th grade for digital literacy. But this isn't being implemented by anybody because nobody's teaching it. So if you want full lesson plans for every grade level, prepared and ready to go, it's waiting for you here. But it's not being implemented because who's got the time to do it? So if you want full lesson plans, it's waiting for you at Common Sense Media. Etc. How would you like to have a nice booklet for every single parent at your school? A nice booklet to teach the parents how to talk to their kids about being online. You can get a book, a little booklet. It's a really nicely done booklet. It's glossy. One for every single parent, free. You just tell them how many you want. Let's say you had sorry?
Spanish also.
And Spanish also.
Oh, that was exactly what I was going to
Yeah, and Spanish also. Did you use this?
Yes.
What did you think?
I liked it. We had a hard time because of, you know, like you said, they do valuation of libraries where you're trying to save your job and then at the same time you're also trying to do all this other stuff. It's
right.
really difficult. But for, so we haven't been able to implement it totally for the school. We got like 500 English copies, 500 Spanish copies, and tried to do like 3 or 4 different things with all the teachers going, oh, you know, I'm too busy.
Right.
So eventually just pass them out like directly to parents. So
I'm going to hold the questions to the end. I'll come back to that, but thank you for sharing that. And this is I Keep Safe, a generation safe. It gives a response framework for when an incident happens in school. How many of you know your schools are just lost as to what to do? This is actually an implementation plan for how do you respond if this, then that. I was on the board to have this happen, so this was co-created by teacher librarians. Interesting. This is Leslie Farmer's site, digital citizenship. I love the idea of the human hands on the ones and zeros. It's a fabulous site. That's also hot linked. This was created by teacher librarians from Santa Ana Unified School District. It's K through 12th grade. It's broken into 4 bands, K through 4, 5. Sorry?
The Leslie Farmer site isn't in here.
And
It isn't on the it isn't on the online.
Okay, I'll make sure I include that. I
Thank
will
you.
add that.
Thank you. That's what I'm
Yeah,
trying to get
I'm sorry about that. Okay, I'll add that. But this is created by Maggie Barnes and her team of teacher librarians at Santa Ana Unified, and now it's public domain. And it has a little 10-minute PowerPoint presentation. It has a script to go along with the PowerPoint presentation you can actually read. And it has assessments to go with each little mini lesson for each day, and a parent letter in both English and Spanish. Isn't that wonderful? And they just shared it with us. If you improve upon this, please make sure you let me know so we can make it available to everybody else if you improve upon their work. And then this is the where you keep up with the laws. This is the Cyber Safety for Children out of the California Office of Privacy Protection. The laws, the new laws that keep coming out, it'd be great for you to just tickle this once in a while to see what the new laws are so you're aware. So this is where you can see where the new laws are coming for education. And also, for those of you who want to know what your kid's doing with a mobile device, this is awesome. Now, I know we don't like to get in people's business, but parents are concerned about this. And this can go onto your iPod, your iPhone, whatever's connected to the internet, and it'll tell the parent, hey, where the child's been, what's going on, and alert them to any concerns. The only thing I say is, if this is going to go on a husband's, please alert the husband to this being there, okay? That's the only thing I would say about that. And then, by the way, don't forget our special needs kids. One of the things that libraries do, we are a sanctuary for our special needs kids. And we're not talking about this enough. And you talk about more undrilled oil that we aren't tapping into. Do you know how hot special needs parents are? Now, that's a group you would want on your side. And when you come in and say, look, I want to provide resources for your special needs kids, but that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help them get what they need, and I'm having a safe haven for them, getting written to their IEP that they're going to be come and see you to help them through the night, and then they close the library. That's a violation of the IEP. Y'all, come on. We got to start tapping into some love from the special needs parents. Man, they'll just go get their advocate and say, no, you don't. Right. And then cyberbullying, if you want to know everything there was to know about cyberbullying, this is the site to go. These guys did a dissertation about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, on cyberbullying, and they never could find a job. They never could get a job after that because this thing took off so bad it became their job. And these guys are just like two people who didn't quite make it on Big Bang Theory. These guys are awesome. These guys are absolutely awesome. That's my chair. They're perfect. So you got to check these guys out. And then once again, the point here is, look, our kids may be digital natives, and that's what EdTech is saying. That's what Q is saying. That's what all the EdTech professionals are saying. Our kids are digital natives, but we need to come back and say, yeah, you're right. They are digital natives, but they are not digitally literate. And we are the ones that have been credentialed to actually implement this kind of learning, and we're never been more needed than now. I'll simply say this: developing a kid's mind. It would be best if we had a library, if we could do it in the context of a library. But what happened to me is that they kicked us out of the libraries. How many of you know that's happened? But I was able to argue that when they were putting me back in the classroom, instead of me going back to what I did years ago, I was able to argue, our kids desperately need this. You can't let this fall. So now my elective classes are all teaching the library standards to K through 8 students. What I'm trying to say is, if you can't teach from the library, teach. Teach what you were trained to do and fight to do it. Even if it's for a single elective. Well, I'm not getting paid to do it. Well, you know what? Bravo for you. But for those of you who have a different attitude, my point is, we are fighting for recognition of our expertise. And we have got to make it clear, this is not just a financial imperative, this is a moral imperative, and we are not going to back down for the kids. You take that position, you're using all forms of rhetoric, and you'll win the argument. Thank you for your attention, and I'm here to answer any disturbing questions you might have.
Because I've been thinking a lot about this, and in our school, recently the ACLU brought a suit against schools, as you probably know, for charging fees.
Yes.
You know this? Okay. And one of the schools I work at is one of those schools that was named because they charge art fees and stuff. So they had it on their website, and that's how they figured it out. They immediately took it down. They immediately stopped doing charging fees. And all I can think of is that the only thing that really makes them act at a district level is a threat of suit. And I was wondering about this, if CSLA could get with this, some kind of exploring, hey, let's contact the ACLU. This is a moral imperative. It is not being done. Have them go after schools, because they put the suit as a California thing. California is not providing for kids. What if they did that? That would matter, because most district administrators, they look at what the easiest thing is to
That's
cut,
correct. And
not what the most moral.
Well, I'm actually asking for people to be part of a committee for that very purpose.
Okay.
But it's not to go after and sue somebody. That's not the right spirit. We're when it gathers together. I'm just saying. Now, I'm the one who brought up that something, so you know where I'm going. So the first step is not to look like you're trying to kill someone. The first step is we're trying to do the right thing. So we're going to pull together all the different pieces of legislation. Somebody said the Ed Code says, you know how many violations the Ed Code go on every single day in the school district? It doesn't have any water. So what we need to do is we need to connect all these dots together, and instead of saying we're going to sue you, we're going to say we want to warn you. And as we keep warning, that warning goes out, and then other people outside of us, they'll be the ones that'll bring it, and then that'll make us in a very powerful position. There's a whole strategy with that. If you'd like to be involved in moving that direction, I'd love to have it.
I would be interested, because when on Caleb with Richard saying, you guys are not paying attention, you're all living.
Well, that's Richard, and he's right.
You are paying attention, but it's hard when you have already 2, 3, 4 jobs to keep track of all the advocacy you're doing. I mean, it gets insane. At
It does
some
get
point,
insane.
there has to be
So,
some other kind of.
Yes.
There's a thing you have to do with the school board, and you got to get your teachers union involved. And you go up there and you say, look, this is the Ed Code, this is the law as far as schools go.
And this is the
you
risk.
tell the students in this district to follow your rules and regulations, and what example are you setting?
And I am saying,
and get your teachers association to say
How
it.
powerful is when the parents are saying it for you?
Yeah.
But we have had that and going
How
before
powerful
the board.
is it
Then
when
we
you
have
have
the
law-
district administration saying, calling me on the phone and saying, you represent your opinion again, you are in trouble. So you've got really unethical
And the
people.
union,
What I'm
what's your
saying.
union?
And they are in bed with the union. Oh, well, last night when I had the superintendent over my house for dinner, I mean, we are talking about another thing
What
altogether.
district are you with?
Thank you for coming. And those of you on there, it was really hot in this old town tonight. Thank you for that. You set me up perfect. I couldn't have asked for anything better. You did. You set me up like a volleyball, and pow!
Representative of CTA.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Run for state council. I'm on state council.
Just email me. Just email me. I think I got one right here. It's a hotline. It's a legislative group. We're looking at the legislation that supports this. Really, if you put it all together, there's another presentation I have that these are all easy to implement stuff, and it's all free, and you don't even have to ask permission from the administrator to implement, because you already have imperative to do this. You start doing it, you start getting public eye, you start getting papers to report on you. It's really hard when good news comes your way for somebody to try to shut it down. Especially when you get the public eye saying thank you for what you're doing. That's where you want to go first. Then, when people get nutty, go. The others, when you're being bullied, isn't it wonderful to have other people stand up for you? We're being bullied. What we need to create is somebody else to stand up for us, and we are creating it. And we're making steps. It's not time to go to those people and say, now, go after them. It's not time. We're making steps forward. As soon as we hit a dead brick wall and somebody acts in a vulgar manner, that's the button. And that's when we
Well,
hit it.
I order, and maybe it's not the same everywhere, but when you do have, like they say, a union who's like really in bed and literally when
The
you're
union
talking
doesn't
to
seem
them,
to support us.
and they're
anymore.
saying, hey, no, that's not what the assistant superintendent told me was at my house.
We did? What happened with the people at LA Unified? What happened with those people? 5 years in a library and
I'm
then
talking
they
about
bothered
the
to-
model standards, we got CTA.
Oh, we got a little support service, that's true.
Well,
We did. We
you're
did.
welcome.
We must
I
thank
knew-
you.
I
Thank
knew
you.
the
But now go after, I'm just saying, we
Okay,
can
one
fire
of
up the
the-
passion.
One of the problems is when a teacher like Sandy Chocolate has, and it's not we don't have a rep to CTA anymore. It's
That's our
SLA.
fault.
That's our fault.
That's our fault.
And
Yeah, that's
we need
our
to find
fault.
someone.
Yeah, I like to complain until it hits me. Then I get all merciful. Yeah.
But it's
Yeah, but you're right. We need to have somebody. Can we have somebody there?
No, I didn't even.
I can't take on one more thing.
I just
We need
discovered.
somebody on that, maybe on that committee to do that.
So that's you.
Well, the woman who just left.
For CTA, California Teachers
See,
Association.
and I just heard that like through the grapevine. No, she's not doing it.
No, you're absolutely right. That's we have to have that.
I didn't realize that had never gotten refilled. It came up at a board meeting before you were on the board.
Yeah, she asked me, did I know anybody, and I'd love to do it, but I don't have the time. I would love to do it, and you did that. So,
Well, this particular story you heard today to you was presented at CUE to technology and administrative leaders.
Oh, was it?
It resonated with them. It's being presented at the I Lead 3 in Irvine in April to administrators. This is not my presentation to librarians.
No.
This is the one I give to the world,
But we need
and
to
they
do it.
listen. My thinking is, take this presentation, adapt it for you, and bring it to the world. Because you know what? This makes a whole lot of
What
sense.
would help too, see if